evening. And
Good
wow,
evening.
that Wagner Tannhäuser always.
Well, it wasn't
Tannhäuser,
Riders
yeah.
of the Valkyries.
Wasn't the Ride of the
No,
Valkyries,
It's Tannhäuser, yeah, you're right.
which is, if you ever want to put a tear in my eye, it'll be Tannhäuser. And I still think that Wagner was one of the greatest composers.
Yeah.
He's decomposing at the moment, though.
Yeah,
And
obviously.
well, I better introduce my guest tonight. It's Deborah, Deb
Thank you.
Singleton, and from up north, isn't it? Is it
Scarbados.
Starbados?
Oh, I'm not Scarbados. I'm Leeds.
Because you can be a Fockenhall citizen soon. I'm going to have that soon. And then we got
Looking forward
John
to that.
Hamer, author John Hamer, who's
Evening all.
about the falsification of reality, which is not the title of the of his talk next week at Lytham St Anne's, and it's a very fascinating talk that he's going to give. Plug. But first of all, I'd like to mention two things before we go on to the subject. First of all, I had permission, so I can say this now. Last week I mentioned John Richardson, who's actually in Richardson rather, in, we could say, Siam. Now, if you wonder where Siam is, look it up on Wikipedia and you'll find out, because you've got to be a bit careful. And he's the only Brit out there who's bravely standing up against the brigade and the, and I admire his bravery. And he can't comment on YouTube, but he comments on my BitChute channel, and there's a link below this video. And why not show your support for John? So go on my BitChute. This show tonight won't appear on BitChute until tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. And YouTube seems to hold it back a bit longer now. So I don't know why, because their fact checkers are going through. They said something naughty there, and so you can't see his comment on this channel. But if you go onto my BitChute channel, give him some support, please. Show we're with him. Let's put our thumbs up. John Deb, we really do support him, and he's a very brave man, and he said some very kind words for John and all of us. So thank you very much, John, and we're with you. Don't worry, mate.
Well done.
And secondly, this situation in Ukraine, we're going to touch on very lightly because you know that we're on YouTube, which have got the old censor. So we're going to do fluffy bunny and tap dancing hamster routine, and and
brushed lightly over with cotton wool.
That's right. We all had to act like this, but quite honestly, when you see these so-called news reports, now I'm old enough to remember, and I think John is as well, the Vietnam War. Well, just about. I mean, I was very young at the time, and you see these news reports. I know I've mentioned this 1,000 times before. And there's a bloke down a foxhole like this, and you see the North Vietnamese running along in the background. There's bullets going twing, 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 and the cameraman had been wounded, but he still carried on filming. Shit everywhere. Explosions. This bloke's got a light floppy hat on and a t-shirt, and he's still reporting, and there's bullets whizzing everywhere. And now you see them hundreds of miles away. So what I'm thinking of doing coming up soon, we're going to do an on-the-spot news report from not necessarily Ukraine, but about 4,000 miles away. So, okay, we're here now, and they're about 4,000 miles in that direction. What's happened? And what makes me laugh, you see these people with the hats on and all the flak jackets, and as you said, John, there's a little old lady walking past doing her shopping. Going, what are you doing there? I think they're in Bridlington personally. They're probably
it's all real, of course. Let's not let's make that clear.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, it's all totally genuine footage of people genuinely in a war zone, genuinely.
Possibly 15 years ago, but yeah.
Well, it could be. Yeah.
Well, when you look at it, shall we say, isn't it amazing that the BBC and the mainstream media couldn't see certain things that are happening where people were protesting, but now we can see a couple of dozen of Rent a Crowd trying to support Ukraine. Isn't that amazing? Isn't it? You know? But I'll touch lightly on this. Kat kindly sent me some information. Who's
probably sent me some as well. Yeah,
sent you as well about that. There's a pipeline going between Russia and Germany, and of course, it's not in America's interest for Russia and Germany to be friendly, because then there'll be no need to have their air force bases there, will there?
Yeah.
So, you know, I think we'll touch lightly on that, and also as a friend of mine that can speak fluent Russian, so we can see the truth.
That's handy.
Yes, so you know, you can tell. But quite honestly, I think that seeing the so-called war correspondents now, I mean, it's not bad really. I mean, you just go down to a local sort of, shall we say, building site, you know, and because somebody mentioned, if you look at the wreckage of the buildings behind them, there's like creepers up the wall.
Yeah,
for a long time.
They grew quick.
That's right. That's right. They're just reading the script. So it's a cushy old number, really, isn't it? Anyway,
what astounds me is that these big bosses at the news companies go, right, you're a reporter. There's a massive war kicking off. We'd like you to go over there. You're not likely to go, yeah, I'll go, yeah. Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
You're going to get your head blown off.
Mm.
But why are they wearing the steel helmet and the flak jacket, whereas Vietnam reporters just had
T-shirt and a floppy hat.
T-shirt full of sweat. So, how comes 40 years ago they could report right at the front? I mean, you saw a GI getting actually shot, bang, like this, and there was an explosion, and the camera's blotted out for a while. Suddenly, and this bloke's still reporting with his floppy hat on. Yeah, there's a North Vietnamese guerrillas just running across the camera there. Yes, and a GI's shot. It's all happening in front of you 40 years ago, but now
it's just mad.
It's just sort of posed.
Well, the difference is 40 years ago it was really happening. Now it isn't.
Yeah,
that's the difference. Yeah.
But anything where there's conflict, my feelings are always on a serious note. For the innocent conscripts, cool. I mean, they're kids. Come on, they're kids that put the front line and I just feel sorry for them because it must be bloody awful. Anyway, should we have a chat?
They've been faking war footage since the Spanish-American War in 1898. That was the first recorded example of them faking film footage, and I wrote about that in Behind the Curtain, my book Behind the Curtain. I wrote about how that's all done. So that's quite interesting. Well, I thought so anyway.
Yes, because I've actually seen on YouTube, can't you? The footage that they did and the special effects are
pathetic. Well, they're models, obvious models, but it took people in because people weren't tuned into what constituted, what films were. I mean, barely anybody had seen a moving picture in those days. So
well, it's like the First World War. There was a film made after the First World War, as if it was the First World War, and someone falls back in a trench, and people shouted out in the cinema, "Oh look, someone's been killed," or someone's been hurt, as if people, because they were conditioned to believe that British forces were superior, and they only killed the enemy. They didn't get killed themselves. So, that was a lot of people sort of thought that. But anyway, should we have
at first till all the bodies started coming home?
Yeah. Well, when you look at 1914 and you look at the difference between 1914 and 1916 and 17, when the bodies did start coming back, and then 1918, which has had the lowest turnout for voting ever, then you'll see you realise what's going on. Now we've got a my word. I'm afraid I can't read everybody's out in chat, but we've got a real big lineup. And you never guess what YouTube did this week again. Put me down as starting this program going out on Tuesday at 4 o'clock in the morning. I had to alter it again. So now what we got here, I don't know quite where to start. Please excuse me if if I've missed any important parts, there's people saying hello. So hello, everybody. And hang on, we got Kim here. Evening, Chris, John Depp, and everyone watching. Big respect to John in Siam. Bless
Good
you.
evening, Kim. Yes,
And
bless
if
you.
want to send you some kind words or anything like that, you can't do it on here. Well, you can do, but you won't be able to see it. But it's best to go onto my BitChute channel, and when this program's loaded up, and say, "Hello, John, we're with you," or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
that make
Big
you
love.
happy. That's right. Then we got what's this? Sebastian. Hello, Sebastian. I with Fakery Rain. What's this Fakery Rain? No, I'm with
Fakery Rain.
Fakery Rain.
Fakery Anne. Anyway, I can't. It's too late for me to say things like that.
Yes.
Na.
Right, we got here. Hi, that's Paul Green. Hello, Paul.
Hi, Paul.
And we've got my word. We got here Aunt Sally. Those visions of the palm bombings on the Vietnamese children disturbed me terribly as a child, and still haunt me, especially that little girl running along.
Yeah.
And, yes, Nepal was particularly bad. It was particularly terrible. You know, it's and it was outlawed, I believe it was. And
I think so.
now it says here, apparently they're bringing over 9,000 of them to UK, or Ukrainians.
Yep.
Didn't know that.
Oh, well, it's another excuse to bring some more immigrants in, isn't it? You know,
that's
Eastern
right,
European immigrants. So, yeah, why not?
I've been told if you've got family over here, they can come over.
Yeah, yes, it's more, shall we say, what they used to call it, ethnic cleansing, I think it's called, isn't it? That's a posh word for it. Now we got here 9,000 of Sebastian as of
battalion, I presume that means.
As of battalion. Here we go. Now it says here, Sean Penn filming a documentary about Russia invading Ukraine at the same time. You couldn't make this shit up.
They obviously did.
That's quite true.
This is an interesting one. Some spread lies, others know the truth. Who is who? Without an audience, there can be no play.
I read that earlier. Yeah, that's quite true.
That is a bloody good one, that is.
I don't give them an audience.
Yeah, I don't watch it. But I'll have to mention that one that I mentioned before going on here. That one where they see this bloke with a steel helmet and a flat jacket. And there's a church, beautiful scene behind him, a church. And you see this bloke go up to the railings and take a picture of the church. You see, he walks off. And some eagle-eyed person said, hang on a bit, that's not Ukraine, that's Bulgaria.
Somebody sent me something the other day on WhatsApp, and it was entitled UK raises alert level, and it says, the English are now feeling the pinch in relation to recent Russian threats and have therefore raised their security level from miffed to peeved. Soon, though, security levels may be raised yet again to irritated or even a bit cross. The English have not been a bit cross since the Blitz in 1940, when tea supplies nearly ran out. The Russians have been recategorized from tiresome to a bit of a bloody nuisance. The last time the British issued a bloody nuisance warning level was in 1588, when threatened by the Spanish Armada. There's a few more bits as well, but it's too long to read it all.
That's about right, is that? Oh, dear.
I was going to mention that instead of the park, somebody put a Canadian flag up. I said, what would happen if you put a Russian flag up?
Yeah.
Bosh!
You'd be lynched. The Russians are the baddies. You'd be lynched.
Yes.
Yeah. Don't try it.
Yes. I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't try it. No. This is Louise. This is a very poignant one. Breed fear in any manner possible. They need I won't say the word just in case, but I think everybody could read that word out. Yes, they certainly can. Yes. What's this? Ancient ruby. put Dudley Moore on as commentator.
That'd work well with that.
Right, now we've got loads more in chat, but we'll come back to that later. So next, first of all, before we go any further, there's Edge Crusher in chat somewhere, and he and Vicky, they are actually on the 22nd of March, down near where I am. They're going to have two authors, talking about I better not be careful. Things that make us ill. that John and I spoke about on the Naughty channel on my BitChute channel.
Right.
That, do you get what I mean, John? I've got to be so careful here.
Yeah.
It's about what theory, shall we say, is very profitable, and what theory isn't very profitable, but is been proven to be correct. I think I've covered that very mildly.
Very subtly,
yes.
that, yeah.
Very subtly. Yes. Anyway, you're going to Lytham St Anne's, John, I believe, and that's where Les Dawson, I think, finished his days, didn't he? Lytham St Anne's, he liked that.
I believe so. Yeah, I think he did live in St Anne's, didn't he? Yeah, he did. Yeah.
It's very posh. So.
Yeah, it's like the posh end of Blackpool, really. That's probably people who live in St Anne's would crucify me for saying that, but yeah, I mean, it is quite an upmarket little town, you know. For the most part, obviously, it's got its problems like any other town, but yeah, it's quite a posh little resort, about 5 or 6 miles south of Blackpool, on the west coast, northwest coast. Yeah.
Brilliant. Now you're going to go. There was always a conference, because I know the late great Dave Starbuck was a regular there at Lytham St Anne's.
New Horizons, yeah.
New Horizons, and anybody that's up there, please go along to watch John. That would be quite something. So, can you explain? You're going to talk about the falsification of science and history.
It's specifically about what I regard as being the three main tenets, or the pillars, of false science, as I call it, and that is the Big Bang Theory, the theory of evolution. Note the use of the words theory in both cases, and the globe Earth. Okay, I believe that those three things, in conjunction with each other, and over the years, have been used as a tool, a massive tool of deception. The Big Bang Theory, to make us believe that the whole thing together, the three things together, actually serve to make us believe that we are not the powerful spiritual beings that we really are. What it does, it turns us into people who believe that we're just tiny specks of nothingness in a vast, unending universe, and therefore it totally diminishes any power that we might have as individuals and collectively as well. So this has been in the planning for hundreds and thousands of years, several thousand years, back to Babylonian times. I think it was the ancient Greek philosophers that first mooted the idea of evolution. And also, the Big Bang Theory is the most recent of those. Actually, the Big Bang Theory was it was a guy called Georges Lemaitre, who was I believe a Jesuit priest. Say no more. But he formulated the Big Bang Theory, and in my view, the Big Bang Theory is all about merging science and religion, and enabling science and religion to present a united front. Because prior to that time, science and religion were at loggerheads. They were like that because, science was denying the existence of God. Obviously, religion was promoting the existence of God. And the Big Bang Theory neatly ties the two together, because Georges Lemaitre, as I say, he was a priest anyway. So he had this idea that, of coming up with a theory that would fulfill both sides of the argument. So, the Big Bang Theory can be accepted by religion because, who created the Big Bang? God. So it fulfills both sides of the argument, and I believe that's why it was promulgated, and why it still is promoted to this day. But to say that, you know, in the 13.5 billion years since the alleged Big Bang, that you know, we have evolved from pond slime, I think is just utter nonsense. If that was true, it would take a considerably longer amount of time than 13.5 billion years, I can assure you. And anyway, the whole theory of evolution is just that. It's just a theory, and it was promulgated by Freemasons, you know, from the early 19th century or the late 18th century, actually. And the guy who actually started the ball rolling wasn't Charles Darwin. He was just like the front man. He was just like the guy who stepped into and was promoted as being this advocate of this very, very flimsy and insubstantial theory. But the guy who started it off was actually a guy called Erasmus Darwin, who was his grandfather.
Yeah.
That was the modern version of it. Obviously, there'd been, you know, musings about it right through the centuries. But yeah, even when you take that in conjunction with the Big Bang Theory, which states that, you know, we're on a tiny little speck of dust in a vast, unimaginable and unending universe, you know, and that there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands, if not millions, of other civilizations just like us, it totally detracts from our power. It totally detracts from our importance as a species. And I believe that we are extremely important as a species. I believe that, again, it's a controversial thing maybe, but I believe that we're probably unique. I don't think there is any other intelligent life anywhere in the universe, such as whatever the universe is, and I really don't have a clue what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's not the one that NASA tells us. You know, it's definitely not that model. So yeah, that's the kind of basis of what my talk is about, and it's about those three elements which all together go to make up this big lie in order to diminish our spiritual powers. So that's the basis of the talk.
Fantastic. What you've just said, it really sounds, because well, I usually say, I mean, I believe in adaptation. Yes, we do adapt. But this idea of evolution, if there was evolution, then surely you'd have chimpanzees and gorillas going to university or by now.
Well, you know, I mean, why did some gorillas or chimpanzees change into humans and others didn't? And there is absolutely no evidence for it anyway. So it's a moot point in any case. There's no evidence at all. They've been looking for centuries to find this so-called missing link, and they've never found it. You know, if all species had evolved from this piece of pond slime, then there would be several thousand million transitional species evident in a fossil record, and there aren't. You know, there aren't, and they can't explain it, but they do the damnedest to cover it up. But you know, so it's a lie. It's a huge lie promulgated by Freemasons and probably Jesuits as well. Dare I say that?
And Jehovah's Witnesses.
Yes.
Well, yes. Because I think really when you look at this, when you start to investigate and look into what they say, it falls apart. And
absolutely,
all we've got to do is wear a white coat, bow tie, and stand there and talk down to people and speak like us. And you get all the mainstream, just read all the books, what the mainstream tell you. But what it is,
and they have to pretend that the Earth's a globe, because you know, otherwise, if it wasn't a globe, they couldn't come up with this fairy tale about this unending universe, because the way that they describe it is it's made up of all these different galaxies and different solar systems within the galaxies and different planets within the solar systems. And they're all these round rotating bodies, all of which are traveling at several million miles an hour in every different direction you can possibly imagine. And the universe is constantly expanding. Well, if we didn't have a globe Earth, that wouldn't fly. Pardon the pun. But you know what I mean? That idea wouldn't work at all. So they have to kid us that it's a globe Earth, and that's what NASA was, you know, based on. It's based on all this business about, you know, all these space exploration. All that. I don't believe any of it. None of it. I don't think there's a single truthful statement about what goes on above ground level from NASA at all in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Now, if you want to shoot me down in comments, please feel free, and I'll try and answer it. But you know, that is my opinion, and I'm sticking to it.
I have to say, I giggled all the way through that chapter in your book.
Oh, did you?
The spinning, the spinning globe, and just it just painted a really funny picture because it doesn't work.
Another flat earther, because I always had that problem with the geometry. Another flat earther explained it, similar to yourself, that there's a sort of like a bump, and the sun sort of goes around this bump, and that would actually make the geometry work out perfectly.
It's, you know, despite the globe earthers' protests, there is absolutely nothing wrong with the flat earth model that can't be explained scientifically. That so many people have done it, but of course all that information becomes, you know, censored, vilified, you know, argued against with using ridiculous strawman arguments, you know, and you know, I think that the thing about the flat earth that really pisses me off more than anything else is the fact that it's totally divided the truth movement. You know, there's so many truthers who won't listen to that argument. Oh, it's a psyop. It's a psyop. It's not real. Well, I'm sorry, but I mean, according to me, according to John World, I think it's an integral part of the whole deception, and it just fits. To me, it just fits like a glove into all the other stuff. But the three main things, as I say, and this is what I'm talking about next Monday, are the globe Earth, evolution, and the Big Bang Theory. And those three things are the main tenets of our fake reality, if you like, our fake scientific reality.
Is it a full weekend, John, at Lytham?
No, it's just a couple of hours on Monday evening. What is it?
Next
Monday, 7:30 it starts. Don't hold me to that. But if you go on New Horizons website, if anyone's interested in going, New Horizons St Anne's, all the details are on there.
And hang on, I better put you. It sounds like something groaning in the background, doesn't it?
It's some sort of sound issue. I thought it was me, but
it could be me actually, because I'm having terrible sound problems.
I thought it was the Brussels sprouts I had earlier, so I don't know. Right, now let's have a look here. What we got here? We got here. Right, this is your website. Okay.
It is.
It is. It's your website, and also if you want to find out more, we've got here. This is John's email address, and his BitChute channel is below here, because you can't put all the forward slashes and things like that, backward slashes, because people might think it's the incontinent website. / backward / backward / but anyway, so I think we're having a William Shatner moment. So below here, no, not my truck, but below this video is a link to John's BitChute channel. And oh, by the way, you haven't put a recent video up there. Have you got a note from your parents or anything, or you know?
Well, no, it's been 2 weeks actually. Well, Pete, who's the host, you know, Pete, who comes on sometimes. He not on the show, but is in the comments and that. He's the host. He asks all the questions. He's been having technical issues, so we've not done one for 2 weeks. We're hoping to do another one this week for those of you who follow my BitChute channel, and carry on with the same theme basically.
I think it's called John Hamer Official, isn't
it? It is. That's the one. Yeah.
Okay, and right, so that's the one there. Now we've got loads and loads of very interesting people in chat, and there's so many. Please excuse my apology if I don't read your message out.
Excuse your apology.
Yes. Excuse my apology.
We will, yeah.
Yes, excuse my apology for not reading it all out. Yes, I'm bullshit.
Making his own grammar up now.
Yes.
Is that fucking all grammar, that?
Well, I'm getting my worms in a mucky puddle tonight. So we got Greg Lord. Hello, Greg. Apparently 75%, and then we're talking about this, we changed the subject slightly about what we were talking about earlier about this Ukraine thing. apparently 75% of the world's ammonium nitrate comes from Russia. I didn't know that. This element is essential for plant growth. Hunger Games on the cards for next winter. That's interesting. I mean, what I like is they say they're going to have sanctions against Russia. Sanctions against Russia would be more like stopping us having Hobnob biscuits. Well, we go into Tesco's and buy their biscuits or something. Wouldn't really make much difference to us.
Yeah.
Well, much to me because I don't eat Hobnobs. But anyway, we won't go into that. Right, what we got here now. It says here, Suko says, where about is the talk, please, in Lytham St Anne's? Can anyone turn up? That's
right. Okay. So yeah, thanks for asking. It's at a place called it's New Horizons. If you look on the website, I don't know the address off the top of my head, but if you don't Google, but do an internet search for New Horizons, St Anne's on Sea, and the address and all the details are there. But yes, you can just turn up. It's fine. Yeah, you don't have to book a place. I'm not that popular.
Don't do yourself down, John.
No.
I'd like to go, but the trouble is, it's the other side of the universe for me, and I ain't got my passport in order. But if you go on to a search engine called Yandex, which is the Russian, you can usually find things on there. So,
right.
Yandex. So, that was Sebastian that gave me that. So Yandex is a good one. I like this, what we're talking about. This is Robert Dorr. Hello, Robert. This is quite true. Some have reverted to pond slime.
Yeah, I'll agree with that.
One, Robert.
Yes, actually, that's a good one, Robert. And I think I know, I can't mention the person's name, obviously, but I know someone that's reverted to pond slime, and there is this person. I think that is the nearest to pond slime you can actually.
I don't think he ever grew up from pond slime. He's just a big constant pond slime.
More appropriate for him.
Right, now it says here, ancient ruby. All leaders in my eye, is that with an L or a B? All bleeders in my eyes are the same, playing the same game because money is louder than lives. Not one leader is there for people. Not one. All insane loonies. Well, you're quite right there.
I wish they were insane, Ruby. The problem is I don't think they are insane. They're all in the pay of or in the thrall of the WEF and other such organisations, some of which I won't mention. But yeah, they are all part of the WEF, Young Leaders. What is it? Young Leaders Club. It's not club, but yeah, they're all part of that. They're all emanated from the WEF, and it's the WEF that control them. So they're just going to do their bidding because they're getting paid megabucks for doing it, and they know that if they don't do it, they're in big trouble.
Yeah.
Oh, the thing, so we've still got the growling gorilla. Sounds like something from King Kong, doesn't it, in the background? You know.
Checks out you.
I can't hear it. Honestly, can't hear it. I suspect it might be my laptop, but there you go.
Right. It says here, I said to my sons, Ancient Ruby, today, they want the country's minerals, so war on them, and then can squeeze all humans closer together to control easier. That's right.
Agenda 21. That's Agenda 21 are part of it. Yeah.
Oh, Robert Dorr's got a cracker here. No, it's a job. Maybe the missing link.
No, sorry, Robert. It's not intelligent enough.
No.
I like that. Well, the sort of druggy knuckles along the floor, does it? You know.
Still.
But I actually think it's an insult to humans to say we evolved from apes, because you might as well say that horses evolved from dogs because they've got 4 legs.
Yeah.
And I still also talking about evolution. I question. They say that all dogs came from the wolf.
Can you not talk about dogs?
Sorry.
Sorry, it was Bob. Bob the cat. He heard the word dogs and he was looking a bit angry.
Oh, I see. Yeah. He's worried that the country might go to the dogs, you see. That's the problem.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You've got Bob.
All right, you've got away with it.
Yeah. What's his name?
Bob.
Bob. That's a nice name for a cat, isn't it? Bob. I worried about Bob.
Bring him on. Let's have a look at him.
He's disappeared for something to eat now. Once he realised that you might have been joking, he's disappeared. He'll be back.
Right, because it's actually a website called Cats That Look Like Hitler, apparently. Cats with...
Yeah, with the black, yeah.
Yeah.
Quite unfortunate, really.
But when you think about it, this is Sebastian Moran. Oh, by the way, he's the chap who told me about Yandex. So thanks, mate. The nebula is fake. They admit it with fake pictures, images.
All the space, everything's fake. All these spacewalks that you see, they're all fake. They're all attached to harnesses. And there's been loads of videos that have been analysed, and they've come up, and you can see these people who are supposedly floating in these space stations or whatever, and they're just on harnesses, and they're just doing acrobatics, pre-rehearsed acrobatics, but the harnesses show up in some of the pictures. It's just so funny. And another thing to Google or to search for if you're interested in this stuff is bubbles in space. Just Google bubbles in space. A lot of the stuff when they like outside of these spaceships, it's all done in an underwater tank, and sometimes you can see the bubbles going up in the background. It's just laughable. It's just laughable. It kind of makes you wonder if they do it on purpose. It's like revelation of the method,
Yeah, taking the piss.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut across you there, but it's a space station. We're all floating, and something falls off a bleeding shelf behind them and goes, bonk.
Yeah. And the other thing is, when they're interviewing them in the space station, they're supposed to be like a 7-second gap, because of the distance, and or whatever it is. I don't know how many seconds it's supposed to be, but you never hear it. And it was the same when Nixon was talking to Armstrong and Aldrin, allegedly on the moon. There was supposed to be like a 19-second gap or something because of the time that I can't remember what it was. I'm probably way off beam there. But they just had a normal conversation, as if they were sat in the next room, which they probably were.
Yeah. Did you ever see that interview they gave when they got out there? I saw what they call it when they're putting that little
decompression.
Yeah, decompression thing. They were sort of sitting there, absolutely shitting themselves as if they're going to say the wrong thing. Can you imagine you just come back from the moon, you'd be, well, hey, I've been on the moon.
Yes, you've been all over.
Hey. But so that goes, I don't know quite. And they were distancing themselves.
Yes, it was great.
It's like if I was bullshitting you two that I've been to Barnsley today, and I've never been to Barnsley in my life. I've distanced myself. I'd say, you say, what was the high street like? Interesting.
Yeah.
I've never been there.
Well, there was a Marks and Spencers and a whatever the hell these chain stores are. You could just name a whole list of chain stores, couldn't you?
Yeah.
There was one on there.
Every town.
Someone might say, there's no Marks and Spencers there. Oh, I'm getting muddled up,
Well, 15 charity shops, the usual kind of high street thing,
Yeah. Well, I was saying on Sunday, where we are is a beautiful park, and there's ruins of, I would think it's going back to the English Civil War. Oh, wrong there. Sorry, Town Cry, I said British, English Civil War. And Cromwell and his son and that, he was knocking around this sort of area. And I said, if we put bow ties on and said we were put professor before our name, and said that Oliver Cromwell actually made that brick wall along there, with his arch and his arse cleavage and his trowel, and did it by hand, and wrote books about it, you'd have history professors in Cambridge believing it. If we're bullshitting it, good enough. Saying, so Oliver Cromwell, he did have these pair of trousers that showed his arse cleavage as he was putting the bricks on the wall. But what gets me, it's so easy to fake. I saw Richard D. Hall's show about this so-called Mars rover, and he proved that the batteries would not be able to exist in the temperature.
No, same as the suits wouldn't.
And this thing about
when we did the moon show with Shannon back in the summer, we covered loads of this stuff, saying about how, especially the temperature stuff, how you just can't, human can't function in that temperature. It's just not possible. We don't care what's the kind of suit they've got on. It can be it can be a space suit, vacuum pressure suit or whatever the hell, I don't know. But it certainly wouldn't cope with the swings of temperature. If you're in the shade on the moon, the temperature is like minus 200 degrees centigrade, and then in the sun it's like plus 200 degrees
oily
centigrade. Yeah, so you couldn't just expect a suit to work and then instantly change over as you step into the sunlight, which is what it would have to do. It's just well, we know it's all bullshit, don't we?
We do.
Pointless labouring the points, really, isn't it?
Right. And as I said, when you see that command module, which I did, and a load of us blokes walked in, or we were used then, to the Science Museum, convinced they'd landed on the moon, and we walked out with doubts. And there was an old, in those days in museums and places like that, there was an old boy, with a hat and all that.
Oh, yeah.
Cat, yeah.
Yeah. And he was trying to hold his laughter back because we was cracking a few laughs and that. And we said, "Excuse me, mate, do you mind if we have a look underneath?" He knew we weren't any harm, his students. He said, "Yeah." He said, "I haven't seen you." We're sort of looking underneath this thing. We're saying, "Hang on, it looks like someone's got underneath there with a blow lamp to make it look as if it's a heat shield and all this sort of stuff." But how does three blokes change into bulky spacesuits that James Burke got three blokes to get this spacesuit onto him? Okay, are they contortionists? How do they get into it in such a small confined space, which is about the space of underneath your stairs? Well,
I saw the actual alleged lunar module. I went to the museum at Kennedy Space Center in Florida, and I saw that, and it was like, it was like made out of tin foil.
Yeah.
It's almost like they're trying to tell you we're lying to you. It really is.
I shared a picture of it on Facebook.
Put the foot through that, and that'd be it. They'd be gone.
Yeah.
You're true. You was going to say, Deb, sorry.
No, I was just saying I shared a picture on Facebook yesterday of the lunar module, and I'm like zooming in on it and thinking it's like 5 ceiling panels that are stuck together because there's bloody great gaps between. Oh, it's ridiculous.
I commented in one of my books that it looks like something that a group of 10-year-old kids had made in their arts and crafts class.
Yeah, it did. Yeah, you did.
I'll tell you what got me. That was the medicine cabinet that I think they got from IKEA, although it didn't exist then, and it was on the pits. So somebody was a bit, come back from the pub on Friday as well. And I just sort of gone,
shove it there.
But what gets me, we're living in a world of experts. Have you noticed that?
Yeah.
Experts say. Who are these experts? And do you remember the BBC? They used to have this, what was it there? James Burke, that bloke Moore, what's his name? Patrick Moore.
Patrick Moore.
And there's another bloke, I can't remember, he used to be a newsreader. All experts on what, and now I think Monty Python did a joke of it, because it was sort of, oh yes, well, they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And most of the time they're just bullshitting to fill in the programme. Because, again, it was Richard D. Hall that showed you photographs of Devon Island, which is one of the largest uninhabited islands, I think, near the North Pole, that NASA use for doing experiments and that, and then showed you Mars, and it's very similar if you change the colours.
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah, you could see the landscape was the same shape and everything, wasn't it? And even the indentations in the horizon and things like that. And it was like an exact replica of what they told us was Mars. And the only way they made it into Mars was by colouring it in red.
Yeah. But the other thing is that there's Voyager. They're saying, oh, it's going out of the universe now and all that. I'm sorry. Bullshit. I mean, sending all these little signals through space. They don't know what's out there. But there's some very interesting questions in chat at the moment.
Yeah, let's go to chat.
Let's go into chat. And we've got Joe Weeks. Hello, Joe. If it's flat Earth, there must be, I suppose that would be an edge to fall off. Laugh out loud.
Oh, God, I never thought of that, Joe. Oh, shit, that's my theory up the wall, isn't it?
that's just that one up, isn't it? Just that one up the wall.
Just for anyone who's not aware what the flat Earth model actually is. I mean, I'm not absolutely 100% convinced by the flat Earth, but I'm absolutely convinced that the Earth's not a globe. So
Yeah.
just to clarify that. But the flat Earth model it's a disc, a round disc with the Antarctic all around the edge. Okay, so there's a 200-foot ice wall all around the edge, which keeps in the water. And then outside of that, somewhere in the middle of Antarctica, is a huge dome which covers it, the whole thing. And a bit like, if anyone's seen The Truman Show,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. And that is what keeps the atmosphere in place. Because when you think about it, how the hell does the Earth's atmosphere stay in place on a ball that is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour on its own axis and traveling around the sun at 66,600 miles an hour? How on earth does the atmosphere not just get blown into space? Just, you know, space is a vacuum. I was always taught in my physics lessons that nature hates vacuums and it will try to fill them. So anything that is, you know, outside of a vacuum and is exposed to a vacuum, the vacuum will immediately get filled. So why does our atmosphere stay in one place? And I've never heard a satisfactory explanation of that yet.
Nor have
They're pissing on us and telling us it's raining, basically.
Yeah.
You're right. And see, the thing is, I know magnetism because I can see magnetism. We know that magnets are attract, like poles and all that. But nobody's been able to explain to me what's gravity. Just because some silly ass was sitting under a tree one day and an apple hit him on the head, Isaac Newton.
It's very simple what gravity is. You know, Newton had to write a 3-volume book called Principia Mathematica to explain how gravity worked, right? Because all gravity is, the globe Earth wouldn't work without gravity. So somebody had to come up with something, right?
Yeah.
The globe Earth, I mean, so, you know, when you think about it, how do trillions upon quadrillions of tons of water stay on the underside of the globe? You know, especially with it moving in all these different directions all at once. The only way they could fix that problem, and it was a problem for them, was to come up with a theory of how that happens, and it's called gravity, but it's bullshit. All gravity is, or all what we believe gravity to be, is relative density. If something is denser than air, it will sink. If something is lighter than air, it will float. If Newton's apple had missed his head and landed in the pond that it would lie beside, it would have floated.
Yeah.
And it would have floated because apples are less dense than water, but they're more dense than air. It's simple. You know, that doesn't need 3 books, does it? I mean, that is just so simple. You know, that's why, this is why they're taking the piss with gravity, because they say, you know, how could they say that it's simultaneously both too weak to prevent smoke rising in the air or to prevent a butterfly flying through the air, but yet simultaneously strong enough to hold all those trillions of tons and all the buildings and all the people and everything on the Earth as it's spinning like a wet tennis ball at, you know, at all these thousands upon thousands of miles an hour. You know, it doesn't work. Gravity is the weakest of all the physical forces. They admit that. But yeah, it just doesn't explain anything. It's just utter nonsense, I'm afraid. Well, not afraid, it just is.
So, you can start. So what is at the edge of Earth if it is flat, please? Well, I don't know.
The Antarctica is all around the edge of the Earth. So this is the flat Earth model. And this is why there's something called the Antarctic Treaty. Nobody's allowed to go there. Nobody's allowed to overfly it. Nobody's allowed to dock a ship. There are exceptions to that. There is a place on Antarctica where cruise ships are allowed to go, but you're not allowed to go more than about a few hundred yards, or less than a few hundred yards, probably about 50 yards inland. And I know this because my son's friend worked at the research station there. and cruise ships used to dock. There's a little post office there, and all they did was they went to the post office and sent the postcards back home from Antarctica just to say that they'd been. That's the only way you can go to Antarctica. But the whole of Antarctica consists of a 200-foot high ice wall, an impenetrable ice wall. So, yeah, I was going to say something then, but I've forgotten because I talked myself out of it as I was speaking. But yeah, and planes have been shot down and been threatened with being shot down for encroaching over the Antarctic airspace. And an Antarctic Treaty in the 1950s was designed to stop people getting too nosy about what goes on there. They come up with all sorts of excuses about there being resources there that, you know, need to be protected and blah, 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 blah. Usual old twaddle, you know.
Look at the lie about Stonehenge. Now, with Stonehenge, what happened is it's been there since the year dot. It's been there a long time.
Before you were born, Chris?
Sorry?
Even before you were born?
Even before I was born. That's quite something, that, isn't it? And, some blokes come up with this theory that it was built in the 1950s. Well, that's bullshit, because I went there in the 1960s, and there was a section there showing you pictures of how they reconstructed it and put the rocks on top, boulders on top of each other and things like that. But I remember it quite clearly because my dad read it in the newspaper, but I think it was about 1971. They said that vandals had daubed paint over the rocks at Stonehenge, and it'll take so many thousand years for this paint to actually come off, and that's why they've stopped the public going there. Bullshit, because there's no sign of paint on any of those rocks, and now they're charging a small fortune to go around there, whereas beforehand you could just walk around there free of charge and you could park free of charge. It's a bloody great rip-off, and there's loads of stories on there where they basically made up. I mean, when I was at school, it was, who built Stonehenge? It was the Druid myth. Correct, wrong. They used it 2,000 years after, you know. So, oh, blimey, you let the cat out, John. Right, I heard the door go.
Oh, no.
But no.
I've just got a friend here. She's just making me a cup of tea.
Oh, well played.
Lovely. This is what. Can I have one, please? No sugar.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, no sugar for me either. I'll save
email
you
it to you.
Nice Yorkshire tea.
I won't tell people what the cat did in this, but still.
No, I don't think we need to know that.
Don't need to know. No, too much information there. But no, seriously, what we were told years ago to be true is turned out to be complete and utter bullshit. And I'm getting fed up with these so-called experts telling you what is and what isn't, and what you just got. When you look at logic, you know, I don't think anything has ever got out of the Earth's atmosphere at all. We literally can't break out of it. And that's why I think they call it a prison planet, because we are a prison planet. And actually this goes, what's this there? This is quite interesting what Ancient Ruby says. You are all here on Earth because you have been bloody naughty in your last life, or come to save the naughty ones. I think that's some truth. Yes. And,
what about the ones that have been bloody naughty in this life, though?
Oh, you're coming back again. You can't escape. You're coming back again. You're being recycled. I don't mean you. I mean whoever
this is
we'll do it all again.
That's right. Recycled Deb. And Sean Hamer says an infinite plane wouldn't require an edge.
That's right, Sean. That's why I'm not absolutely convinced by the flat Earth model, but I am convinced that the globe Earth model is wrong, deliberately wrong. So yeah, I mean, it's quite possible that it is an infinite plane. Because there was somebody called Admiral Richard Byrd or Robert Byrd. Yeah, and he was an American military man, and he flew to Antarctica, and he said that he flew a long way inland, and he found it went beyond the ice, and there was like, you know, it was like a paradise, like green paradise, and there was a strange
tropical world,
strange race of beings there as well that kind of greeted him and it communicated with them. And I mean, that guy wasn't crazy. I mean, he appeared on a TV show and actually told this story on a TV show. I've seen clippings from it, but you know, you know, he wasn't a lunatic. He was a senior military guy. You know, but obviously he wasn't allowed to go on TV again and talk about it once he'd done it once.
I read his son's book.
Oh yeah,
because he kept a diary. It's not a very long book, but it's quite detailed about what he saw. He kept a diary, and then after his death, his son wrote the book.
All right, okay,
good book.
Interesting. Yeah, you'll have to let me have the title.
Yeah, I will do. I'll email you it after the show.
Thanks.
I've still got it on my Kindle thing.
Was there an Operation High? What was that jump? Was it High Jump in 1947? I think it was, when the Americans went down to the Antarctic with Admiral Byrd. I'm clutching at straws here. People in chat might be able to help me on this one. But there was a big military exercise down there, and something happened which has been covered up ever since. And Admiral Byrd was down there as well. But I think High Jump seems wrong to me. I think it was Operation something.
Yeah.
In 1947.
It's a very unimaginative name, isn't it? Operation something.
Yeah.
Something or other. Yeah, that's isn't it? But but what I was going to say is that Admiral Byrd, you know, he said he saw this clearing and trees and whatever. But there's been several other reports of people that have flown over the Arctic. Years ago, in say the 1920s, there was a famous pilot that said that it cleared and he saw like a sort of a jungle below him.
Yeah.
And then suddenly the ice came back. So there's all weird things that go on. But now, shall we put some interesting? I've lost them now. Interesting adverts on. I haven't done any new ones this week. So what we got here? We've had the Swedish records one, haven't we? Better have a serious one because I might get some dosh from them. So where are we? Where is it? Oh, hang on. Let's do the Crystal Boutique. This is what's coming up next week with Hayley. All right, ladies, do you like dangly things? Gentlemen, do you like round things that you enjoy touching? Well, why not contact the Crystal Boutique? Because the Crystal Boutique has a full range of crystals that will suit every taste. Yes, contact the Crystal Boutique UK at gmail.com, and remember, their crystals are competitively priced, plus you can also receive a wealth of knowledge from the proprietor. So why not contact the Crystal Boutique? When contacting them, please remember to tell them where you saw their advert. Thank you very much. Yeah, how posh, isn't it? Yeah. I say, are we going to do a Fockham Hall advert?
Oh yeah, I think you should do the Fockham Hall.
Yeah, yes, but I haven't got the better sound. Do you want a Fockham Hall one? Where are we? I've lost it. I keep losing these things. Right, it's here somewhere. Hang on.
You got to all that trouble.
Hang on. Got a bit of trouble. We had Ornate Land, didn't we? Had that one.
Yeah. Still going. We're going to book it.
Where is it? Got Gandhi one. Is this the one?
Hello. Are you partial to something a little different? Do you like to give the two-finger salute to mainstream media? Then look no further than Fockham Hall Radio. With its charming mix of information and lots of archive footage, it really is a treat for the senses. You will surely exclaim, "Well, butter my crumpets," when you peruse all that Fockham Hall has to offer. So, just pop along, quick sticks, to www.fockhamhallradio.com. You'll be assured of a super spiffing time, and as we like to say, Fockham Hall.
I'm just raising a little finger while wondering.
Oh yes, please do. You're in the company of royalty. There's John with his tea, look.
Hey, up,
Look at that.
hey.
Yeah, nice brew.
Hey.
Right, that's what I call a proper Yorkshire cup of tea.
That's what. I'm down here. We have typhoon.
Yeah, I'll go to the foot of our stairs, our mum.
Nah, you can't stand the spoon up in it. There's no point having it.
Bricky's tea.
Oh yeah.
There's some what you're saying about these three pillars. I mean, when you look at it, history, science, to me, is a religion. It's nothing more than a religion. But you've got and the priests are the ones with the bow tie brigade.
Yeah.
And it just. Oh, by the way, talking about bow tie brigade, people that are doing this thing on the 22nd of March about things that we can't talk about on YouTube.
Right.
I tried to get round it. Is there? Where is it now? I've forgotten it. Where's it gone? Are people that do this? Hello. If you don't want to meet people like this, dressed in leotards and acting strangely, or if you don't want people that do things like this, then why not go along to Yoga Hearts? You can see the website just here, advertised at the bottom of the page, for jolly nice people, or telephone 07463 021 512. And remember to tell Vicky, who runs the class, where you saw this advert. Thank you very much.
And we're back in the room.
I thought I was on my own then for a minute.
You did. Well, what it is, Vicky and Richard, they're running this thing on the 22nd, which is round this area. Please contact what you saw there, Yoga Hearts, and they're inviting two authors along who've looked into what makes you
not very well.
Yes, but not the conventional way of looking at it. And I think I've got around that carefully. So if you're if you believe that the conventional is real super duper, don't go along with it. But
are you trying to tell us, Chris, that they have an alternative view?
Oh no. Yes.
Yeah, not so.
Yes, and it's in a very nice little quaint place where they're going to be holding this. So I'm going to be there, and I'm going to try. I won't. Obviously, they won't be able to come up to this show on YouTube, but my naughty channel on BitChute will. And we could have John Hamer and yourself on as well. Now that would be an interesting show, wouldn't it?
That's quite true, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to be along there with the old cards and all that,
Yep.
And I'll tell them I won't. I won't mention any fart jokes or anything like that on that night.
Well, that'll make a change, won't it?
It won't, but it'll make a change, won't it? Yeah. Right, let's go back into lively one in chat this evening. Here we go. And again,
Linda's got a question.
What's this one?
What's happened to John's official channel? No new postings on there. Thank you.
I think there'll be one on by the end of this week, Linda. Thanks for asking. Yeah, Pete, who conducts the interviews, has been having technical trouble with his computer equipment, and we've both been beset by IT problems ever since the new year. Really, first me, and then him, and then now him again.
You again, yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a couple of weeks, and yeah, we're really conscious of the fact that we need to get another one on there because it's a series and it's a logical sequence of talks. So
yeah.
I've just texted him actually, very rudely, while you were all gabbing there, and I'm waiting for an answer. But I've asked him if we're definitely doing them this week, and I'm pretty sure we are. But I just want confirmation from the horse's mouth. But thank you for the question.
So keep your eye out. Ooh.
Well, everybody gets notified when there's one up there anyway. Even people who haven't subscribed to the channel, I've got a mailing list that I send it out to. So
course, you know, I had to get counselling this week because you weren't on there. You know, I thought, what am I going to do? I went on there, you weren't on there. I thought, yeah, being a bit of a snowflake coming from down south, you know.
Yeah.
Shandy drinking
Right,
southern puff.
Southerners.
Other than stuff. This is a funny thing. EastEnders are noted to being hard bastards, and they said that when the settlers went to America, the only ones that survived were the ones from the East End.
Great.
I can imagine that. Indians come out the shoulder, bloody piss off, bosh.
Yeah, I thought the way through.
Peace pipe, piss off, peace off.
Yeah. I'll show you where you can shove your peace pie.
Right, we got here. Oh, here we are. This is an interesting one here. DJ B2. Hello, mate. DJ B2. Admiral Richard Byrd.
Rear
was
Admiral.
also
Rear Admiral, right.
Oh, is it a bit of a no, we'll go to that.
There's only the Admiral at the back, not at the front.
He's coming around. Richard Byrd was also an active Freemason. That's interesting.
Yeah, probably true, actually. Yeah.
All the higher
Who
ups.
knows what to believe, eh? Who knows?
Right, it says here, this is an interesting one. Ancient Ruby. Eric von Essex, just to say, in honesty, one does not have to return once awake. That's quite interesting. Yes.
Thank goodness for that.
That's yes, and it says, and there's another one here. Joe Weeks. Hello, Joe. The henge also has a dark past. Well, that's quite interesting because the henge, there's a ditch around it, and the ditch is actually inside in many ways, so it can't be a rampart. And they're finding that now with modern radar techniques, and as the Amazon jungle is being cleared to make way to grow soya and graze cattle, that they're finding there's hinges in the Amazon jungle, almost identical to what.
I mean, as well as Stonehenge in Wiltshire, there's also Woodhenge, isn't there, as well?
In Norfolk,
which is a wooden monument, or the remnants of a wooden monument. Most of it's rotted away, but yeah.
But a program that we was going to do, and we haven't done yet, is this theory that old cathedrals, and I'm going back to the Middle Ages, were not there for religious worship.
No,
they were there as healing centres.
They were power conductors, weren't they?
Yeah.
Well, that's what they're saying, because when you look at it, if you're going to make a building or build a building where some bozo is going to stand up and preach to the audience, you'd make it sort of oblong, wouldn't you? You know.
Yeah.
But why make it different odd shapes? And when you look at the seating, it's out of place. I'm not talking about more modern cathedrals. I'm talking about really sort of medieval ones, older ones.
Yeah.
But there's lots of things like that, and you know that the Longburrows in Ireland, they was making a television documentary there in the 1960s. It was that Icelandic bloke, this boring fart. He's dead now.
Magnusson.
Yeah. He always spoke like this, didn't he? I'm a boring fart, and what are you doing? You know.
No, he didn't say that, but yeah, I get your gist.
Yeah. His daughter's still alive. Sorry, I don't mean that. You know, I don't want any repercussions. But
well, you think she might be watching, Chris?
Yeah, she might. You never know. But you said that about my father, you know. Well, I can't take off an Icelandic accent.
No, you can't.
She's nice, you know. But no, I think he's going to do a documentary there, and the BBC sound engineer went down there with an oscilloscope, and he noticed that the patterns on his oscilloscope were almost identical to what was painted on the walls, and he believed that they were healing centres. Some of them were for burial, but some of them were not. And it's the same with the Egyptian pyramids, were healing centres, because they didn't find bodies in the pyramids. And they said, oh, tomb robbers got in there. Well, you wouldn't really nick a stiff, would you? I mean,
not really.
So, but really, and also they've never found pitch on the inside of the pyramids. which if in those days they didn't have electricity, you'd have to have a lighted fire, and it would have pitch on the top of the wall, but there's no pitch.
Mm.
There's someone with a cigarette right there with a sort of scrubbing.
Bang in the mouth.
Yeah, bang in there. Yeah. Or no, he'd probably say, bloody hell, I'm looking forward to cigarettes being invented in 2,000 years' time. Whoa, this is... we got here. This is Louise Wilcox. The point of keeping people away from Stonehenge is to keep positive energy from building beyond control. Charging people to go there breeds negative karma. Spot right on. And oh, by the way, what's the entrance fee? Is there an entrance fee at Lytham St Anne's? Being a tight-fisted get, I'd ask them.
I believe it's £5. Don't quote me on that.
The whole £5.
Oh, hey, come on, it's more than worth it. I mean, come on. Look what you're getting for your money.
Well, yeah.
Free autograph, John.
Does that include striptease?
You've got a chance of meeting me. I mean, wow.
Yeah.
Do you want if I go and play the spoons just in the
You're gonna be pumped.
Actually, someone Monopod BS.
Yes,
has put the actual address of where it's at.
Here it is.
Like the second one from
there. It is.
There is.
Thank
John's
you, Monopod.
Community Centre, St Albans Road, St Anne's on the Sea.
On the sea.
On the sea. Lancashire, FY8 1XD. So that's interesting. Thanks, Monopods BS. That's excellent.
The next comment down's very good. Yes.
90T. The globe has absolutely no explanation for long summer days and short winter days from the same location throughout the year.
That's a good one.
And supposedly the axis changes only 2 to 3%. What a joke!
It's a very good one, but it's one of, trust me, thousands of inexplicable things about the globe Earth. Thousands. A lot of which I cover in my book, The Falsification of Science.
You do?
You do. And I'll tell you something else. You notice these smug gits on the mainstream media, they are very rarely heard them say, I don't know. They've always got they're like a religion.
Oh, yeah.
Answer for everything, but answer for nothing.
Yeah.
Modern science will never admit that it doesn't know something. It always has to come out with an explanation just to prove that they know everything. Well, of course they don't. No.
Well, that's it. I mean, when I say I'm not in, to me, I'm not religious, but it's for other people to judge. I like to believe that I'm spiritual. So that's the way I look on it, you know. Now we got here Guna Mum says it's archaeology. The past allegedly is dug up, is buried. How comes the even older Stonehenge is and always was surface level? That's all good, isn't it?
Right. Yeah.
That's a good point. Why does it have to dig down? Because there was an expanding Earth theory where the Earth was expanding. Because why is it these ancient people are always down deep? That's an interesting one. Another one that I can't understand. These tribes that are in the Amazon jungle, that are deep in the jungle, how did they get there in the first place? Because do you go along with that Hancock's theory? Is it Graham Hancock? Who believes...
Tony Hancock.
No, not Tony Hancock. No, the one that he believes that there was an advanced civilization 10,400 years ago that was virtually wiped out. And the ones that survived were the ones that helped to mastermind structures like the pyramids and that. Have you heard that?
No.
Well, what it means that there have been advanced civilizations before on the Earth, and the evidence of it is they often dig up and find things out of place, like they've dug up a modern style looking glass that was thousands of years old. It's supposed to have been around when supposedly dinosaurs are around when you know and I know that dinosaurs weren't around. So there's lots of things out of place.
Another myth to prop up evolution, dinosaurs. Yeah, absolute bullshit.
It is complete bullshit. And then you've got here, have we said something to upset Dev? Oh, she's back again. Sorry.
If it's Graham, is it Graham Thingy's book Supernatural? Because if it is, I've got that, but I haven't actually read it yet.
And that Lyle Watson?
No.
Oh, that's Supernature, Lyle Watson.
Graham, who you've just mentioned.
Oh, Graham Hancock.
Graham Hancock.
And yeah.
He's a very good story. He puts it up very well. He believes there was a civilization that was about as advanced as the Victorians.
Yeah.
About 10,400 years ago, and it was wiped out by a catastrophe. But a few survivors survived, and they went to primitive tribes and got them to build things like the pyramids, etc., as a kind of modern devices. Because when you look at, I think it was the Aztecs, I might be wrong there, someone might be able to correct me on that, they've got these inscriptions on the walls of a European man with a funny little handbag. And you see these in South America, these different tribes, they always depict a European man with a beard, because you know that South American tribes, the men they don't grow facial hair. Did you know that?
No, I didn't know that.
With a handbag.
I don't think North American Indians do either, do they? They can't grow facial hair, I don't think.
Is it a genetic thing?
You're right there, yes. Eskimos can't, I don't think. It might grow a little tuft occasionally, but that's about it.
Yeah.
It's very, very odd. You know, it's a very strange thing. And the thing, let's have a quick now what we got here. Can you see it? There's some very good ones in. What's this, Sean? I won't mention the word, but can't see it yet. Look closer. Okay.
What?
Now
I think that might have been taken out of context somehow.
What is that noise? Like growling? Yes.
My stomach.
It could be. It could be.
I've not had my tea yet.
Oh, it's been denied a meal.
Yeah. Are we haunted? Could be we haunted.
Possibly.
You know? Yes. Now this is an interesting one. Barry Wickens. Why do they say we went to all four corners of the earth looking for something?
Balls don't have corners.
Yeah.
Or globes don't have corners.
Discs.
No, exactly. Yeah.
Yes. That's interesting. That is interesting one. Now, what about Sean Hamer? What about the falsification of women and men in Hollywood, media, politics, and religion? It's a stretch too far for many, even when it's right there in plain sight, 24/7 on the telescreens. Now, I think
he means gender swapping. You know, men being really women and women really being men. I'm not sure about that, but I've heard and seen stuff, but I'm yet to be convinced. Put it that way. But nothing surprises me. I wouldn't rule it out, Sean. But
well, Professor Moss has written a book. Was it Women Like Polka Dots, Men Like Straight Lines? And all this merging of the gender. I think women have an extra chromosome, I think, in your eyes, so you can actually, men are more colorblind than women. Yeah. We don't see colors the same. And she's found out loads of incredible differences in the way things, you know, the way we view things and that, because I know that Kodak only employed women to look at the color film because the sensitivity of their eyes were far greater than men.
Yeah.
So, you know, and it's like in wars and that, women will always fight a fantastic defensive role, where men will always do an attacking role, better at it. So, for example, when you look at the defense of Berlin, there's the Ruskies or the Soviets were pushing the Germans back. The women were the ones that actually held the ranks sometimes. because they
Yeah.
made a very good defensive role to get the men to recruit, because we are more for the attacking role. Now, beginning of this show, you notice that there's a scene we were saying the falsification of reality. Well, that was a film, Henry V, or as I called it when I was a kid, Henry the V. And
Is it supposed to be the Battle of Agincourt?
yes, and you
Nothing
know
like it, was it?
precisely, it was made in 1944, and it was financed by the British government, and it was made in Ireland, Southern Ireland, and it was a propaganda film for the war. And you notice, for example, the longbow was actually called the war bow, and the men holding the bows, you could not hold a bow like that and wait for some arsehole on a horse to go like that. They wouldn't. They'd have been going. And also with a longbow, you had to fire it when the horse was within about 60 foot of you, almost on you, to knock the knight off his horse or to do any damage. If you'd have fired it that distance, they'd have sort of gone up. What's that?
Up and down.
Like old Harold, isn't it? What's that? What? Oh, bloody hell! Where's all those fucking arrows coming from? You heard where the F word comes from, have you?
No, I probably have, but I've forgotten.
The F word.
Yes.
You heard that one? No.
Well, it's an Anglo-Saxon word, isn't it? Same as the C word.
Yes,
my favourite word.
I'm just trying to remember this joke now.
I'm not very ladylike.
It's a cracker. This one is. That's it. It was. Who said? Was it? Where's all these fucking arrows coming from? King Harold. And the other one is. Where's all these fucking Indians coming from? That was Custer.
Yeah.
Last one was, where's all this fucking water coming from? That was the captain of the, well, we know it wasn't the Titanic, but we're saying it for this joke. The Olympic, shall we say?
Just digression, but the C word was actually the word for a small leather pouch.
Oh.
And a faggot was something they put underneath.
Depends how old you are.
Did you know that? There was a small bunch of sticks were called a faggot.
Yes. We don't like faggots.
No. But
talking about the ones in gravy, obviously.
Yes, I mean Tony Blair likes them. I think he likes them.
There's quite a few that like them. Quite a few politicians.
Yes, we're doing our best to get cut off here, aren't we?
Yes, we are.
Yeah.
Right, let's have a look. Let's have a quick whizzing chat. Oh, hang on a minute. We got something here very interesting. We got Sean Hayman. Hancock is an intel agent, a plant selling.
Is that Matt or Graham?
Yeah.
Both.
Selling
more MK Ultra mind controlled soup.
I'd heard this, Sean. I'd heard it, and I'm not a big fan of Hancock at all, but anyway, I'd heard that.
And Louis Wilcox, is that Tartra, Chris?
Tartaria.
Tartaria
is the mud flood stuff, and the 100-year resets.
Mud floods. Mud floods.
Yeah. This is the theory that says that everything is destroyed every 100 years, because that's just beyond the range of a human lifetime, so people can't remember. And it's like a way of falsifying history. It's an interesting theory. I'm not sure I buy it, but it is interesting.
There's an American theory which works for America but not for Europe, which says there's a major war or conflict every 80 years. Well, from an American point of view, that works, but from our point of view, it doesn't, because it doesn't take into account the First World War. But the Americans were only in on the last couple of months of it, weren't they? But it goes from the American Civil War to World War II, and then across to Vietnam, and so on and so forth.
Well, what about World War One and the Vietnam War?
Precisely. So it doesn't quite, but there's an interesting one from Emin here. Here it is. What do you think of the theory that music based on a scale with the A tuned to 432 hertz is better than 440 hertz music?
It's
I'm
true.
not sure about it. But
Yeah, if you read my mate Mark Devlin, Devlin's books on that, he explains that far better than I can, because he's a musical guy. But yeah, it's right. 432 hertz is more of a resonance with the human vibration, whereas 440 hertz is done. They've made music, turned music into 440 hertz to disrupt our natural rhythms, and it grates on us psychologically, but we don't realize it. Yeah, apparently something along those lines, anyway. But yes, it's interesting, and it's worth looking into. Yeah.
Right.
The handbag.
All the music was 432 hertz, but all modern music is 440.
Right.
Wasn't it the Rothschilds something to do with changing that over? So I heard. I don't know.
It could be, or Rockefellers or somebody. I don't know.
Yeah.
Luna Mums says the handbag mainstream MSN on ancient Egyptian carvings. Oh yes, the handbag man, the bloke with the handbag and a beard. Yeah. Now, Rosanna. Hello, Rosanna. Graham Hancock's A Quest for the Beginning and the End answers some of your questions, and it also answers questions as well.
Yeah.
Sounds like someone with a hair lip. We've got questions.
I've got a question for you. I like that. I'm using that now.
We're going to answer
Questions anymore.
Yes. Now, it says here, yes, I mean, frequency has a lot to do with how we vibrate. That's chap, what was his name now?
Raymond Rife.
Rafe or whatever, Rife. He discovered
Royal Raymond Rife, yeah.
There was a machine that actually cured. Sorry, you're not allowed to say cured. You've got to say goes into remission the cancers and things. So that's quite interesting.
Until he had all his work destroyed. Yeah.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, remember that Kate Bush record? It wasn't about him. It was about.
It was about. What was the guy's name? Wilhelm Reich, the Rainmaker.
Cloud busting.
That's the one. Yeah.
Yep.
He died in prison very mysteriously, didn't he? That man. It's very odd.
Yeah. Well, he was arrested for doing exactly what Donald Sutherland did in that Kate Bush video, creating rain. Yes,
but oh dear.
I'm sure they stole this technology as well.
Yeah.
Vibration is fast.
It's not a rumour. We know it's true.
Right, Emma. I got a joke. I got a fart joke before we go. See, Turkish prog rock is good, and there's a good monotone rock band called Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Turkish descent. Anyway, bit of a tangent, I suppose.
Just a bit, and then
It's funny. I like this one. This LGBT cavemen. That's the bloke with the handbag.
Just say that.
Now, what's this there? Well, do you want to hear the fart joke before we go any further? It's supposed to be a true story, this is. And apparently it happened in the 1950s. And again, it's whether it's true or not, make up your own mind. It's probably been adjusted a bit along the track. But you know the old buses where they had a bus conductor and, people sitting there? Well, there was a woman. I
don't remember them at all.
No, you wouldn't be old enough.
I only just do.
You know the seats that set sideways over the wheels at the back?
Yeah.
Well, there was a very posh lady with, it's all done up and beautiful like this. And she was absolutely busting for a fart. Absolutely holding it in like anything. She thinks, well, if I time it so that there's a hill later on and the conduct, in those days had noisy buses, and when it changes gear, I time it in, my fart will, blend in with changing the gear, you see. Well, she mistimes it, this massive or and then bus, and everybody looks round, you see. And she goes bright red, and she, out of embarrassment, she's conductor, have you a map of the route? He said, no, madam, but you can stop the bus and get a handful of leaves if you like.
Where do you get them from?
Don't encourage him, Deb. Don't encourage him.
Very much of it. He's got a book of dad jokes, hasn't he? In the 1960s.
My jokes from that era. If I drink too much,
Oh my God!
to the mud.
Oh, I'm sorry, this sketch is getting silly now.
We're descending.
We are descending. Sean Hamer. Most of what we can access was written by aristocrats in the last 300 years. I agree with you there. Alphabets versus the goodness. Versus goodness. A lecture by Leonard Schlein explains how they programmed us with their fictional unreality. Yes, I agree with you. Yes, that's very, very true. But sorry, that brown owl joke has just got me. Hello, we got John. Hello, John. John's from America, I believe.
Hello.
There's a theory.
Hi, John.
Hello, John. There is a theory the American military is the enforcement arm of the Jesuit New World Order.
That wouldn't surprise me.
Yes, nothing surprises me. What you said last week about California and, well, whether or not William Shatner, we looked that up afterwards. It's quite interesting. I didn't know that because it must have been in America only, though, heard about it, because we didn't hear about it over here. But that's interesting. Yeah, I better not say too much.
That was Dave's joke last week, wasn't it? About William Shatner marrying Stevie Nicks. Stevie Shatner Nicks.
Just when I thought we'd come out of the gutter.
Yeah, sorry, I'm lowering myself to your level now, aren't I, Chris?
That always triggers me. That name was Shatner. That's the trigger one.
Don't stop it there.
I'm pleased that was actually hi, I love to all. Just got in. All I picked up is a small leather pouch. And I can't find one that hangs off a utility belt anywhere under extras in the back of this. I'm still about Screwfix dating.
Have a look in the index. Screwfix sell everything.
This one has definitely descended into the pit of despair, hasn't it? Really, I mean,
it has. Well, actually, Trail Cryer's on. Yeah, all right, mate. I think we might do that war correspondent interview. You know, because let's face it, around Cedars Park, there's plenty of bits of old wall that we could use. You know,
Get it authentic.
Yeah, make a bit of authenticity. You know, so I'm up for it for a good laugh. That'd be bloody good. Right, here we go. Now, I think I don't know about you, but if we before we descend any further into the depth.
Yeah.
Now, coming up next week, we've got Hayley talking about crystals.
Yes.
And you can't be here, Deb, because
I'm sorry. I'm busy next week.
Yes, and
I'm away the week after.
So you're having a what away?
I said I'm away the week after.
You're away next week after, and then and then John, you're at Lytham St Anne's. So and I'll be here with Hayley talking about round things that men like to touch and
dangly things that women like to touch.
That's right. So the crystals, of course. That's it. And I might have the advert ready by then for the. Although I think I'll wait till for the the Anorak convention and Troll convention. You know, nice people. And the week after, I don't know what we're going to have on the week after that. Anyway, we'll work it out. And all it leaves me to say is thank you very much for joining me this evening. It's been a good laugh, hasn't it?
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thank you, everyone.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone. And
Yeah. Good night, all. Thanks for tuning in, as ever.
And thanks for putting up with my toilet humour.
Yeah.
I
Notice he hadn't apologised for it, but he's just thanking you for being here.
Nothing next week about William Shatner. That's what triggers me.
Yeah, we'll blame that one on John this week.
Yeah.
Well, I got it off Dave, so I'm blaming him.
All right, he's not here. We can blame him.
No, he's not here, so we can blame him, can't we?
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you very much for joining us, and it'll just be Haley and me next week, same time, same place, 8 o'clock, live. And whatever happens, put the old thumbs up like that, and ding the bell, ding, 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 ding. And if this disappears, which it probably will do.
Yeah. For the toilet humour alone.
I'm not taking bets against, for sure.
Yeah.
I'm not making bets against. Yeah.
And go to the BitChute channel. And I'm hoping to get a financial expert on.
Oh, look at you.
So thank you very much. Whatever happens, have a bloody good laugh, eh?
Yeah.
Because that's what John Richardson said. He said the devil doesn't like being laughed at. I mean, can you imagine, all these politicians coming out and saying, "Oh, we're going to do something," people are going, and just laughing at them. What can they do? Can't do anything, can they? Right. Anyway, thank you very much.
Good night, all.
Night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.